All right. Hey, gang. Nate Bear here, lead technical tactician for Monument Traders Alliance and trade of the day. And in today's video, I want to go over the indexes, a couple of key critical changes that I want to cover with you guys. And then I've got a setup that I like for a long. I also have a couple questions that have come in over the past few videos that I want to take a look at and address. So stick around. I'll do that at the very end. All right. So let's dive right in. The first thing I want to cover is the QQQ. And this is a chart that if you're in Daily Profits Live, you are very familiar with this chart. We've been talking about it every day pretty much for the last month. In August, we're in this down channel and we are in a very more or less orderly move down. So a couple of big things today. Number one, we came into and tested the biggest rally that we've had throughout the course of this down channel so far. And that is the move from down and through here to up and through here. If we measure this move and then project it from these lows, it comes in right here where it says bearish symmetry zone. We tested that level today. We didn't break out above it, but we did test it today. We also came back into the top of this channel. We didn't break out, but we did test it. And tomorrow and Wednesday are going to be very interesting. Are we going to break up above this level, break out of this channel? If so, we would need to hold a back test and then start to create this sort of situation where we have, instead of lower highs and lower lows and lower highs and lower lows, we've got this situation where we've got a low, a high, right? A pullback, a higher low, a higher high, a higher low, a higher high, and a higher low. That would be what's needed to sort of break out of this down channel that we've been in since August. The next thing I want to point to is we have a momentum shift here in the squeeze, right? These red bars. And today we get a shift to yellow. So momentum is trying to turn. Now, today's market was carried on the back of this guy right here, NVIDIA. What a move. What a stock, what a move. Absolutely incredible day for NVIDIA. Tesla was also up very nicely on the day. So NVIDIA really is what drove the market higher today. It literally carried the market on its back. You had some other names that were moving around, but NVIDIA was the star of the show today. So what am I looking for in the Qs? Well, right now, we've got to get a close above this bearish symmetry zone right here. We've got to get a close above it, and then we've got to hold on a back test to it. If we can do that, like if we can break back above this 55 EMA, which is the yellow line here, right? If we can get back above it and then close above it, and then hold a back test, that for me is the point where I want to start looking at more longs, okay? Speaking of longs, there is a setup that I like here. It's in Mastercard. If we zoom out and look at this chart from a weekly basis, we can see, does anybody want to argue that this is a bullish trend? From 2007 to 2023, right? This thing is up and away. So I'm not worried about price action in 2007, but it is very obvious that this is trending higher. Within that, we have, actually, I'm going to go back here and mark the all-time high, which is right here, which is very recent. But the all-time high is right up and through here. And so what we have here is a pattern, a move higher, and a bull flag. So we've got a bull flag building up right underneath the all-time high, which is right here. And we have a nice big daily squeeze. So I think Mastercard here fits the bill for a great TPS setup. I like entry anywhere off this 55 EMA. So if we got an entry there on Friday, I didn't take an entry, but it offered us an entry on Friday. And we got very close to that today. I would say even between the 21 here, which is the blue line, and the yellow line here, which is the 55, anywhere in between 395 and 390, that's a good area to start building a position in Mastercard for a move higher. And as far as the particular options that I would trade, we were actually looking at this today in Daily Profits Live. This is one that is a little bigger. So if we go out to, say, September monthlies, 24 days out, the options that I really like here are the 390s, maybe even the 385s. But as you can see, they're a little pricey. They're a little expensive. So what I would actually recommend here is doing some sort of a call debit spread. So what I mean by that is you can buy, say, the 395s and sell the 405s against them, something like that. It's a $10 wide spread for $4.50. So you're risking basically one, a little less than one to make a little more than one. If you think it can go higher, for example, my target here in Mastercard would be a break of the all-time high and a move up, so maybe 410 to 415. You could do an out of the money call debit spread, and you could come in here and buy the 400s and sell the 410s, something like that. In this case, you only pay 319, so you're risking one to make two. So a better risk reward. So I like either of those options. I probably personally would go with the 400 by 410 call debit spread. You could also sell a put spread. You could do a butterfly. There's a number of different ways you could approach this chart. But I do like Mastercard long, again, building into a position between 395 and 390 and looking for that move higher up into 410. All right. So that's what I've got for this week. As I mentioned, I did get a couple of questions that I want to address. So Paul says, Nate, thanks for doing this. Could you look at VRSSF and let me know your thoughts? Sure thing, Paul. Let's take a look here. VRSSF. Now, I can tell you right off the bat, this is not a stock that I have traded before. I do not know this ticker. It looks like it's a penny stock. And when I look at this to me is just, I mean, I'm just going to call it as I see it. This is just no man's land. So you have a really nice flag here. Right? This big flag with a big squeeze, it breaks out higher, and then it just can't sustain that. It can't consolidate up here at these new highs and continue working higher. You've got this breakout, and then it's followed by a pullback, a lower high, a lower low, a lower high, a lower low, a lower high, a lower low, a lower high, a lower low. At some point, this will likely find support. I don't know anything about this company fundamentally. I don't know, like I said, anything about it. But again, just looking at this from a technical perspective, you're probably going back into here. This would be my area to look for a base, would be these people from back here. You can see this on the volume profile here. And that's around probably 70 cents. So not sure what you're looking to do with this ticker, but that's kind of how I see it. This isn't one that I would personally look to trade. And then Charles says, feel quite puzzled that ACLS has released record profits in Q2, even beaten estimates by the analysts. Is there any reason that the stock kept falling? So let's take a look at that one. ACLS. And Charles, what I think you're seeing here is the earnings from here, right? So it looks like they beat earnings there, and then they sort of just pulled back. Let's zoom in on this a little bit and take a look. And so here's the earnings win, boom, and through here, and then just a pullback, right? So what this chart looks like to me is sort of like the indexes, right? So the indexes started pulling back here around the end of July, and ACLS started pulling back right there at the beginning of August. So for me, Charles, this isn't really doing anything wrong. It looks very similar to the indexes here, how they had made a high, right? And then they pulled back underneath the 55. Today, they got back towards that 55 EMA, which is, again, this yellow line here. So this just looks to me like, I mean, it looks very similar to the Qs here, right? So this is a ticker that is just trading with the indexes. It's not that it's good or bad, but there was nothing in the earnings report that is making it break away. Even though you may look at the earnings report and say, hey, that's a great earnings report. Maybe they beat, maybe they had a good quarter, whatever. For whatever reason, the market just thinks it's meh. And it's not enough to have it break away and do something other than what the indexes are doing. So most stocks, most days, just trade along with the indexes. And this is a case where ACLS didn't do anything wrong on earnings. It's not like they were down here, right, with a big red gap down, leaving all of these people just holding the bag, right? They just, it wasn't a huge report. And then they've just been trading with the indexes. So I don't think there's anything wrong with this one. Frankly, if I zoom out, this is a pretty darn strong ticker, a nice stock, a great chart. And I would just look for your next opportunity to get long. All right. And then we have one more here, and it says, let's see. Would you be able to, okay, here we go. Would you be able to use your stock surge review on the ticker GSM? And what you're asking here is this profit surge strategy, right? Where a company beats earnings and they tend to sort of drift higher in that next quarter. So GSM, okay, so right away, when I look at this, what jumps out to me is this sort of pivot right in through here. Let me get a better tool, right? So right in through here. So you have sort of two groups of people. You have all of these people, right, that for over a couple of years were buying it above current price, above, say, 570. And then we dip below, we gap down, and then all these people down here that have been sort of buying it at less than 570. So you've got this group of people overhead, and you've got this group of people underneath. when I look at something like that, it is very difficult for a stock to just break out and go up here because there's so many people holding the bag. So while we may be able to look at, if this is what the chart looked like let's pretend this was the IPO right here, and there was no price action above current levels, above these right here, then we'd look at this and we'd say, wow, look at that gap up, earnings. Yes, absolutely. This would be something that I could consider for the profit surge phenomenon to happen in this ticker. But when I zoom out a little bit, right, I notice that there are so many people above current price, and this is going to act as a ton of resistance. Okay, so that's how I look at it. Doesn't mean that it won't work, but just giving you my like I said, I'm calling it as I see it. That's how I see it on that one. And anyway, I hope that helps. For anybody else that would like to have me look at the chart, just give me an email and I'll get right back to you. All right, we'll take a look at it in next week's video. Thanks for watching. I hope it helped, and I'll talk to you guys soon. Later.